Today I have a specialty light with the BLF LT1 lantern. It was designed by forum members at the Budget Light forums and manufactured by Sofran. The BLF LT1 started 3 years ago as an offshoot of the Q8 that I have reviewed previously here, and you can see the two share some physical resemblances. Forget other battery-powered lanterns that you've seen in the past. This one really puts them all to shame. This will probably end up being a little bit longer review, so sit back and enjoy. It's not like any lantern you've seen before. I really appreciate your support liking these videos and hoping that everyone is staying safe and healthy during COVID-19. With the new normal, you might need a solid light for when the power goes out during storm season or for camping season when it eventually comes. Catch me on any of the major social media platforms in the links with the description below. And now back to the review. Packaging that the LT1 comes in is very basic. It's just this brown cardboard box. No money was wasted here. Inside you get a card from Sofran, letting them know if you have any questions or problems with the light. Remember to take the stickers off the bottom of the batteries. This is really important. Your light won't work without it. It's not an effective light. You just have to remember to remove those stickers. Bag of extras, some extra O-rings. You get an O-ring here, an orange O-ring that I put around the top of the light that seems to be popular to do, just to add a little bit more style and color. And then you get a manual here. And this is a really good manual. It's got great English and it's very detailed. Most importantly, it contains a UI diagram here for the version of Android that this light is running. This is a little bit different from other versions of Android, so make sure you take a look. I'll also have a PDF link to where you can get this online that's not quite as squished and a little bit bigger and easier to see. My light was the kit version and came with 4 Sofran 18650 3000 milliamp hour batteries. And as I mentioned, they had a sticker on the negative terminal here that you've got to peel off. These are button top batteries, and that is what's recommended in this light. And it also came with a USB-C to USB-A cable for recharging. This light is made from anodized aluminum, and the bottom half here is the battery carrier. Overall, it's very similar to the Q8 in design, although it doesn't have flats milled in here. This bottom cap is removable, and it does say who was the designer there on BLF. This is kind of a one-man design, which is kind of neat. You've got a quarter turn 20 in the bottom half. Then you've got another quarter turn 20 on the side here. These are both make great mounting options. The knurling here is good, milled out areas. Next, you've got the silicon button here, same as the Q8. It actually has a T for Thorfire because they were the ones who originally produced the Q8. And Thorfire kind of became Sofran. This has an orange LED underneath it that's on all the time, and it's tunable via an adjustable pot on the inside of the light and then via firmware. Opposite the button here is the port for the USB-C recharging. It's a nicely fit cover in there, and I had no complaints with how the silicon fits here. The diffuser here is a thick white gloss plastic. It's really solid, and I can't deflect it at all or push into it at all. So it's well made and nice and thick. It did come with some protective plastic on it, and so far I really haven't gotten any major scratches on it. At the top then here you've got your sturdy aluminum cap. You've got a hex head here to keep it all together. And then you've got this large wire hanger, and this pivots in and out of the way, so if you don't want to use it, it's out of the way, but if you do want to use it, it's there. It's a nice design. This is a larger and heavier light than most LED flashlights and battery-powered lanterns on the market, but build quality here is far better than anything else I've ever experienced, and it's far lighter than the old steel and kerosene lanterns. Weight with the 4 included 3000 milliamp hour Sofran batteries is 641 grams. I measured overall length at 176 millimeters, diameter on the head at 68 millimeters, and minimum diameter on the body at 50. Inside here we've got a total of 8 Samsung LH351D emitters, 4 in 2700 Kelvin at 90 CRI, and 4 at 5000 Kelvin 90 CRI. The result is a light that's capable in its stock form of 600 lumens, and tint is variable anywhere between warm 2700 Kelvin and a nice neutral 5000 Kelvin at an impressive 90 CRI. So I've got my video lights here turned down. So here's the tint shift that I was talking about here. So I'm press, hold, and you can see it went from warm to it's getting wider. And here is full 5000 Kelvin neutral white. I'll show it in my night shots too, but it's really a nice way, and I like it somewhere in the middle there, maybe 3500, 4000 Kelvin, somewhere about like that. Okay, I've got the BLF LT1 here, and I just wanted to demonstrate a couple of things with it at night, and then I'll show it a little bit of distance. But this is the lantern, and it is on the highest setting here, and I can dim all the way down. I've got it on smooth ramping. So this is the warmest tint, 2700K from those Samsung LEDs. Then I can ramp up, and this is brightest. I'm going to come down here, kind of middle tint, and I'm going to show you how cool it can go. So you can see it's getting wider, wider, wider. And this is the fullest neutral tint it can go, 5000 Kelvin. And then I'll ramp all the way up to the brightest, ramp down to the lowest, and I'll ramp somewhere in the middle here, and I'll go back to warm. And we can see it fades down, and then it clicked once there for the lowest. This is all 90 CRI, wonderful tint rendering. And you can see it does a really nice job at the table here of just lighting the area. This would be great if you're trying to read something, if you're trying to light around a table like this, in a tent, out hiking, camping, anything like that, and in emergency situations where electricity goes out. I just wanted to go out and show you what this is like out in open space in my yard. And you can see it does a great job of lighting up an area. You can easily use this to light up an area around you as you walk, although it's probably not ideal for that. On the inside of the head, there are some additional solder points that can be bridged to use more of the 7135 chips to increase the peak brightness of each group of LEDs. This only works when you're using more of one group than the other. So you can't increase both at the same time, but let's say you prefer neutral white and want that brighter, you can bridge a few of those points, and then when you turn the light to neutral white tint, it'll be brighter than the stock of 600 lumens. But this does decrease runtime and increases the amount of heat. If you want to do this, I'd encourage you to read the long threads over on BLF first. So for heat and runtime tests, I ran the light in its default warm 2700 Kelvin tint, similar to what I have it running in here. I used the 4 Sofrin 3000 milliamp hour button top batteries and ran it at its maximum brightness in the out-of-box configuration. Runtimes were super impressive, with total output running in 9 hours and 50 minutes, just before falling to 1% relative output. While this is dim, it's still very useful light. At 95% relative output, the light can sustain itself for 6 hours before starting to decline significantly. Remember too, this is only with the 3000 milliamp hour batteries. You could upgrade to 3500 milliamp hour batteries and get another 2000 milliamp hours and expect an even longer runtime. The light does have temperature regulation built in and is configurable in the UI. And the top gets warm here, but it's really not too hot to touch. Low voltage protection kicked in at 2.912 volt, and the cells were run evenly, so running a matched pair is what's recommended. I've got the light plugged into a power bank here, and it will run off the power bank no problem. You can go to its brightest mode, and it'll just run this way till your power bank draws down too. So this is another option to power the light and get a ton of runtime. Imagine plugging this into a 20,000 milliamp hour power bank, and just think how long it would run like that. The UI on the LT1 is a modified version of Toykeeper's Android. It's well designed with a lot of features, but if you don't want to get into all those features, you really don't have to. Here's the basics. By default, the light comes in a warm, smooth ramping mode, which I like. And you can see there all I did was press and hold, and the light turned on and ramped up and ramped down. The light will give a quick flash when you're at the top here to let you know that, and it also does it at the bottom. Double click takes you to turbo. To adjust the tint of the light, just double press and then hold. And as I mentioned earlier, it goes to wider, and do the same thing to go to warmer tint. This does have a mode where you can sync brightness and tint together. So in lower outputs, you get a warmer tint, and then at higher outputs, you get a more neutral tint, kind of like an old incandescent bulb. You can get into this easily with that click, click, hold, and cycle through it a few times and get there. It's also easy to get stuck in that mode. So just remember click, click, hold, and cycle through that a few times, and you can go back to the more default mode. Lastly, if you want the light to be even more basic, there is a muggle mode that you can put the light into and hand to someone who just wants an on-off light with reduced output for increased safety and dead simple operation. For more advanced features like blinkies, strobes, aux button, temperature regulation, you'll want to go check out that manual and diagram, and I'll have a link to that in the description. I keep a copy of my manual in the case, which I'll show you here in a minute. As mentioned before, the light recharges here via USB-C, which is great to see. On batches 1 and 2, the light, you must use the USB-A to USB-C cable, but in batch 3, that is shipping now, compatible with C-to-C cables. It's nice to see Sofrin react to this and change the design to allow for C-to-C. And it's super easy to charge. Just take your cable, plug it into your USB-C, and your button here goes from green to red to let you know it's charging, and the light does work when it's charging, although it does slow things down. For my charging tests, I used the 4 Sofrin 3000 milliamp hour batteries and started the batteries at 2.92 volts and charged them to full at 4.05 volts in 10 hours and 15 minutes, with the highest observed speed being 1.5 amps. This is on the slow side, especially considering there's 4 cells in here. While it's a safe and conservative, I'd like to see something more along 2 amps. I did briefly charge the light with my solar charger too, and it worked just fine, as you'd expect. Given the long run times, charge times here, you're probably not going to get a full charge from dead on most days, but it's a great way to top up the light in an emergency situation or while out camping or hiking. While not included in the light, I thought I'd just mention that this light fits beautifully in any generic case designed for the JBL Flip 3 or 4 Bluetooth speakers. I picked up a Zanz case here, and you can see the light really fits in there great. On one half I put the micro USB charging cable, and then on the other half I put an old Samsung charger that I had that just fits in here. And then I usually put my manual in here too, just so while I'm out and about, I can carry the light with me. And you can see it fits up nicely here. It's zippered. It's kind of one of these hard, not plasticky, but kind of fabric cases. It really makes for a nice compact kit. It doesn't rattle around. It's perfect for this light. And it's cheap too. It's only like 10 bucks. If you're interested in that, I'll have a description in the link below. So the pros for me are, it's got a very even beam with variable tint. It's got a super long run time. It's easy, yet a powerful UI to do whatever you want, and it's got a solid, robust construction. The cons are the weight. It's fairly heavy. Previous versions 1 and 2 were not able to charge via C-to-C, but version 3 that's shipping now can, and it's a little bit of a slow charge time. My conclusion is that you might never thought you needed a lantern, but I'm here to tell you this thing is the real deal. I live in the Midwest, and May and June are traditionally months where we see the most amount of tornadoes, and sometimes the power goes out. While you probably have flashlights or several like I do, a lantern like this really is better for area lighting. It's also great for camping. I would have killed for this when I was a Boy Scout out camping for all types of night activity, as long as I wasn't hiking long distances with it. The combination of high CRI variable warm tint makes this truly a dream to use. There's no cool white here or washed out colors to blind you. Instead, only warm, pleasing, and neutral tints with high CRI to show the beauty of the nature that you're in or read by. It's nice around the house too, just for area light or to read by if you wanted to. And muggle mode is nice too for non-flashaholics and for kids. Long run times means it's very power efficient for the light it produces, and its built-in recharging USB-C means it can be charged via solar panel or with most common cell phone chargers now really easily. While my version 2 here doesn't support USB-C to C, version 3 that's shipping now will. The only downside is weight. It's not light, and depending upon your tent or how you want to try and mount it, that may be a little bit of a challenge, but remember you've got those 2/4 20 tripod mounts too to make that a little bit easier. You can also run this on one battery to save weight if you wanted to, and who knows, we might see a one battery version here in the future. If you can't tell by now, I'm really a fan of this light and would recommend it without hesitation. It's a pretty decent value and blows the competition away. If you're looking for a great Father's Day gift or for a man who likes to camp or hunt or fish, this is a great choice. If you want to build out your storm prep kit for tornadoes, hurricanes, or blizzards, this is a great addition too. I'll have links to where you can pick it up in the description below. And as always, if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments and I'll do my best job of answering. If you've stuck around here to the end of this review, I sincerely appreciate it. Views during the COVID situation have not quite been what I was expecting. So if you have friends who like to camp, please consider sharing this video and blog posts with them, as I think it's a light that has a wide appeal to non-flashaholics too, because of how useful and versatile it is. As always, thanks for watching and stay safe.